Hey guys, it's me again, Orcslayer. Where we last left off? Let's see. Checking. Where we last left off, Deku's finally has been taken in by Gang Orca. He took a couple of pictures with a couple of kids or a kid that wanted a picture with Gang Orca because he thought Deku was also a hero of some kind. They then went over to Gang Orca's house, which is a nice place. He's got couple of bedrooms. Deku's got one now. He stayed up quite a bit of the night and just watched TV and such since he didn't really have that nice of TV with the gang. He had a couple of things to eat and stuff like that. He's got a place where he exercises. He's officially 15 now in the story. So now he's just starting high school since, as you guys know, if you're new to the series and have just joined me for this, I started doing quite a while ago that My Hero Academy, their students will be college age, since I just think that makes more sense. So following along with that, they're just in normal high school, since I think it would be, maybe it's just in Japan or something, but I feel like in other places it would be at college level. So because, well, excuse me. Because you better be able to earn a degree alongside that. That is pretty much job training that they're doing already. Might as well get a degree that comes with it. They could even extend it out to 4 years of schooling. That way they could be sure about the hero's training. If they want, they could do it where they have it where they do the 3 years of hero training, then they become official heroes. And from that point on, they could either decide to stay in the school for a bit longer, or they go pro immediately, like at 21. That extra year is to finally earn a bachelor's, let's say. They could dedicate their time to that last year, either expanding their knowledge or one of the other reasons. They could also be there as aides to teachers, since they got a bunch of. But that's how I do it now. Anyways, he got to school. He found I wrote her name down here. Give me a second. I think it's Habuko Mongoose. Weird name. And he also saw Suyu. He didn't meet them. He saw them, more or less. And for those you don't know, Habuko was in a OVA where she met, or where she became friends with Suyu and showed you Suyu's first friend, which was her. And also explained to people why Asui really wants to make friends. It's because she didn't really have them in during that time. So as I continue with this, I got Suyu's family's name all written down, so hopefully I will remember to use this. I have a little book. Anyways, where was I going? Yes. And yeah, you guys are getting a bit a longer video now, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Anyways, yeah. The drink for today, as I'm trying to start a new tradition, is sweet tea. I know, shocker. Anyways, well, we get to that first day of school where Deku shows up for the ceremony, as then he's invited to the class. Since it's actually a new, they got in high school, they're all going to introduce themselves. As Deku's in this class, as he sees, oh, I remember that girl. As he sees Suyu, and then he also sees the snake girl, as he's oh, they're both in my class. As he, goes to find a chair, he's excuse me, Mr. Daniels? Since they use their last names, his Deku's last name is Izuku Daniels after Josephine Daniels. He's she's we got you a special desk ordered since, well, he's I know, I'm too heavy for your normal chairs. It's annoying, really, but still, it's what it is, right? As she's yes, would you, as she looks around, excuse me, Asui, could you go show him to the principal office? Apparently they had it delivered there. She's sure thing, teach. As Deku like opens the door for her as they leave, as they're just walking in silence. As Deku's just like, oh, Gang Orca said, try to be more friendly, I guess. Hi, I'm Izuku Daniels. She's like, Tsuyu Asui. As he's like, yeah. So, what is your quirk? As he's like, I don't know how to interact with people. They interact with me. Dang you, Gang Orca. As she's like, frog. As he's like, oh, that's cool. What does it do? She's like, I can do anything a frog does. As he's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. That's like the only thing I can think about. She's like, you could ask me what my favorite colors are. What's your favorite color? Green. He's like, ah, cool. Mine's green too. She's like, cool. As she's like very just going with the flow at the moment. As Deku's like, so you make any friends? She's like, it's the first day of high school. She's like, oh yeah. He's just like, I have no idea what to say. Why did Gang Orca put me up to this? As Gang Orca is just like, I did it so you can make friends. He's like, I hate you. He's like, I know. As Deku's like, it's like, so you want to be friends or acquaintances? I don't know how this works. She's like, she looks at him. She's like, sure. As he's like, sweet, one friend. As he's trying to not, he's not like, as I said before, he doesn't project his emotions. He just like tries to be simple and blunt. But on the inside, he's like, yeah, got it. All right. Step one achieved. And now they get to the principal's office. He's like, knock on the door. Knock, knock. And so they ask, so, my chairs and stuff are supposed to be here. Like, oh, yes, here they are. As they're like a very big folded up chair with a desk, as he's like, all right. As he picks him up, they start walking back. He's like, da 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 da. She's like, what are you singing? He's like, oh, I'm just making random noises. She's like, As he's like, thanks for leading the way. Sue you. She's like, As he's like, I don't know what to say. She's like, you're welcome, Daniels. As he's just like, you can just call me Izuku or something. You don't have to use my last name. She's like, isn't that a bit too informal? He's like, I just prefer it. I prefer things not being too formal. She's like, She's like, all right, Izuku. He's like, oh, that's better. As he's like, all right, this is awkward. As they get back to the place, they like all the students are introducing themselves, and so Asui or Suyu and Deku are the last ones to do it. As Deku sets up his thing in the back row so he doesn't block anyone's view. As she's like, all right, Deku, could you please come up? It's like, sure. So he walks up as he is massive, like I said before. He's like a little bit shorter than Gang Orca. As he's speaking, everyone's intimidated by him quite a bit, except for two people, which is, of course, Habuko and Suyu. As they're both just looking at him, Deku's like, my quirk is called Crocodile, and, I want to be a hero. As he's saying that, like, that is very nice, Midoriya. Please take your seat. As he's like, as then Suyu comes up and she's like, hey, my name's Asui. My quirk's frog. I can do anything a frog can do, and I also want to be a hero. As everyone's just like, oh yeah, cool. As everyone's like nodding their head, he's like, and I just scared. As Deku's like, and I scare people again. As he cracks his neck, he's like, as he lets out like a bellow from his throat. As everyone turns to him, as it's like, sorry. As everyone turns to him, it's like, sorry, that happens when I yawn sometimes. as they're like, how do you do that? And he's just like, the gators bellow. As then everyone like starts going through the day, as Deku's a very quiet person, very intimidating, and with how his eyes and face look, it always looks like he's angry at something, and his piercing eyes looks like he's always glaring somewhat, as he's just looking normally around. He is cursed with RBF, resting bitch face. I suffer from it as well. But as they like get to lunchtime, Deku's like, the guy brought wall. Let's see what they have at the vending machines. As he sits there, as he's just like, this sucks. As he takes out the money, as he buys, like, let's say he buys like quite a few snacks. He returns to the room. He actually, let's say he actually goes to a rooftop to like try and not disturb everybody. So he goes up to a rooftop. He sees a couple of the delinquents, we can say, just standing up there, as one of them's even smoking. As Deku's like, he's like, you know, smoking's gonna kill you, right? As they all just look at him like, what's it to you? He's just like, just giving you a warning. As he sits down on the opposite side from them, as he just starts opening his stuff and just starts eating, like in one or two bites, he finishes his food. Like each thing, as he's just like, let's say he got a bunch of red bean buns or something like that, or melon bread. Sorry. As he's just sitting there, as he's eating, you get a couple of shadows that come over. It's like, hey, can we have some? As Deku's like, sure, take one each. As he's got like a little pile. It's like, why are you being stingy or something? He's like, no, I am literally pure muscle. I can go without eating for a long while. That does not mean it's good to feel like that. As he just eats, a lot of the foods are like, sure. As they all just sit around him as they do those little crouches. As Deku gets up and he's like, I'm getting back to class. As he moves around, as he steps over him, pretty much, he's just like, don't stay up on the rifle away. Oh, man, I'm not even done through school and I'm already tired. As Deku's like, as he gets back downstairs, as the delinquents kind of followed him for a bit when he got down the halls, as people saw him walking around, they saw the delinquent like right behind them, doing like Hatsuki's walk, or Bakugo's walk, as it's like that little shove their hands in their pockets and they're like wide stance walking. As Deku's like, why are you following me? As they're like, our class is this way. It's like, As he gets to his class and just opens it and like leaves, Deku's just like, boring. As he gets in, as he's yawning and such, everyone's just looking at him like, okay. As he gets back and just sits down, as he just sort of leans back in his chair, as he softly just goes, as he just starts snoring, as a couple of people are like, he's snoring. He's sleeping in class. It's like, well, it is lunchtime, so I guess it doesn't matter. As he's sleeping, eventually everyone gets into class. As Deku's like full on resting his head on the desk. And the teacher is just like, all right, everybody, as they see Deku sleeping, as they're like, can one of you wake up Midoriya? As like a couple of guys in the background, you do it. He's like, no, you do it. He's like, no. As Suyu's just like, she gets out, walks to the back, and just like pats Deku. He's on the head. He's like, as he wakes up, he's like, she's like, Midoriya or Izuku, it's time to wake up. He's like, oh, sorry. Late night. Haven't been to school in a long while. I'm not used to waking up and staying up this long. She's like, it's no worries, Midoriya. Just, did you enjoy your sleep? He's like, yeah, it's a nice little power nap. Let's get on to the lesson. As he gets there, as he just starts learning, as they get to gym eventually, as they go through the day, all the lessons of the day until he gets to gym, all the guys, as they're like getting ready for the thing, they're like, all right, what should we play? As everyone's like excited trying to learn what to play and whatnot, Deku's just like, they don't have anything in my size. He's like, well, I guess I'm singing this out. I ain't getting my clothes all dirty and sweaty. Those red bean buns were good. As delinquents find him, it's like, hey, Deku. Not Deku, but they're saying, hey, whatever your name is. Deku just gives him a side glance as they're like, come on, let's hang out with us. Deku's like, I'm good. Just gonna stay here and relax in the sun. Feels nice. It's like, okay. As they don't want to mess with them. As Deku's just like, ignore it. Until eventually, after like halfway through, Deku hears like a couple of like people starting to shout at one another as Deku's like open, as he's perfectly closing his eyes. As a couple of people were near him, and Deku was like by, let's say, a green area, so he kind of, as dumb as it sounds, he's somewhat blended in a tiny bit. And so these people who weren't really paying attention, as they started looking over and they started seeing a couple of guys getting into a fight. Like a real fist fight, as it's like a group of guys. Like multiple groups of delinquents, let's say. And so like, what? You got a problem, you bastard? As they're just like shouting insults back at one another. As Deku is just staying perfectly still. And then he hears, not herds. He's like, you just hit me with your quirk, you bastard. As Deku's just like, one night, I just want to be left alone to sleep. That's so fucking hard. As he looks over, as he sees him, as Deku gets up, as he's just like, oh, this is annoying. As he makes that growling sound, a couple of the girls who are like near him, like jump as they see him. As he rises to his full height, he's just like, as he starts walking down the hill, as they're like, oh man, that guy's super creepy. Yeah, he's really scary too. It's like, I heard that some people are saying he wants to become a hero. He's like, with a face like that, of course not. Seku just turns back to him. It's like, ooh. As he just continues forward, he's like, they're not worth my time. As he shows up, he's just like, as a guy throws like more attacks with his quirk, Deku goes over and lifts him up by the collar. As he's just like, as he lifts the guys up, he's like, oh, what the hell? I'll kill you. As he turns around, he like swings around. As he looks Deku dead in his eyes, he's like, are you quite sure about that? As he like takes in a breath that like with the shuddering, growling, snarling, he's like, you sure about that? As they see his like, as he opens his mouth a bit, like opening his mouth a bit more, as they see it, they're like, as they take like a swallow a bit of their spit, and it's like, as Deku's just like, that's right. Now, calm down. Some of us are trying to relax and sleep. As he just drops the guy, he's like, enough. As he walks away, as a couple of delinquents start looking to him as like, he's the new boss, I guess. As they just like disperse for a little bit, as Deku just sits back by the tree, and the girls are still there looking at him. And quite a few of the classes saw this, as Deku pretty much intimidating all the worst acting students into submission. And they just like hear some of the boys say, alright boss. And now they're starting to think, oh, Deku's the leader of the delinquents now? Great! As Deku sits by the tree, as he just rests his head, he's just like, as he's sleeping, and everyone's just like, I'm glad he isn't angry. But what now? As Deku uses that as like his day. After that, he leaves by himself. Deku leaves by himself. As he's walking out, he sees Suyu, as he has to walk that direction as well. As he walks past her, he's like, sup, Suyu? or Asui, or whatever her last name is. She's like, hey, hello, Zuko. As Deku just walks by, he's just like, get home, take a nap. She's like, you do realize we have homework, as he's just like, I forgot about that. She's like, good luck, Carol. As he's like, why do you ribbit? She's like, it's just something that happens naturally. As he's like, alright. He's like, you make any other friends today? She's like, nope. You? He's like, no, but I think I just somehow became the leader of the delinquents of this school. As she's like, huh, good. Well done, Midoriya. Weren't you there actually? She's like, yes, I was. I watched the whole thing. He's like, yep. So, that's gonna cause problems. Excuse me. As he walks past her, he actually takes notice of the girl with the weird snake head looking at him. As he's like, well, that is weird. As he leaves, she immediately pops out and uses her quirk on Suyu. Well, she doesn't do that just yet. As she just looks at Suyu and is flicking her tongue Deku's like, this is gonna be a weird high school year. As that is his routine. As he's just doing that every day, he gets known as the delinquent, the gang leader of the school. As he's just sitting in class one day, as a couple of the delinquents are like, hey boss, we brought you food. As Deku just looks at him. As they set it down, he's like, thanks. Here. As he offers them money, he's like, no thanks, boss. He's like, it's on us. As he's like, I know you didn't get this money from, you guys didn't pay with this money from you. Sorry. I know you did not pay this with your own money. As he hands him the 5,000 and he's like, give it back to the kid you took it from. And you better cut that out. As like, yes, boss. As these guys are thinking Deku's gonna be like your average bully, push people around and as Deku's just as he just opens the things, as everyone's just like, man, he's getting his little lackeys to go gang up on people. He's even paying them for it. As Deku's just like, you know what? Before I was called a monster, now they just think I'm an asshole, so I guess that's how it is. As he looks around the room, everyone skirts away from his sight, aside from Habuko and Suyu, as they both just stare at him. As he just nods his head, as they both just look away, as Deku's like, I expected at least a lizard girl to come and talk to me, but I guess I was wrong. I guess Lizard Squad ain't gonna be a thing. As he's just like, it's annoying. Really, really annoying. But maybe this is my fate. I'll terrify them, and then when I become a hero, I can rub it in their faces. As he just he's like, man. As he just unclasps his necklace and just sets it on the table real quick, as he's like, man, it's been rubbing my scales all morning. As a couple of people catch a look at it, and like, isn't that what gangsters wear? As it says little croc on it, as Deku's just like, ugh. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Man, should we tell the school? As a couple of them talk to the teachers. Well, before they talk to the teachers, they actually talk to the student council, let's say. They make sure everybody stays in check and stuff like that. As they come to the student council for about this, hey, I think Izuku Daniels from class whatever, let's say class 1C, I think he's in part of gang members and such. You got any proof? It's well, he's leading delinquents at the school, as they give all the reasons. He leads delinquents, they take money from people, give it to Deku, that sort of thing. As the student council ain't having none of it, since they're well, he's obvious. All the evidence points to him, as they call Deku to the office, as he's just oh, what could go wrong now? As he makes his way there, everyone's looking at him as can Izuku Daniels report to the office? As he Wants to finish his food. He's just like, hey, all you can have the rest of my red bean buns. Should be enough for all of you. So he arrives at the office. Everyone's like, oh, sweet. He's like, I guess he's a pretty cool gang leader then. As he actually takes two of them and actually hands them personally to Suyu and Habuko. He's like, and also, as he like walks past, Habuko is like, if you want to talk, you can just talk to me. I don't like being stared at. As he just walks by, she's like, sometimes I forget I stare. As he arrives at the office, he's just like, I hate school. School life ain't that bad, but some of these people are insufferable. As he comes in, he's like, yes. She's like, yes, we need to talk to you, Daniels. He's like, what? As they're like, can you please take a seat? As he just like, as he goes to put his weight on it, as it's just a snap, as he's just squatting now, as he's just like, as he gets up, he's like, what do you want? She's like, he's like, you interrupted my lunch. She's like, well, a couple of students are afraid that you are into nefarious activities. As he's like, people think I'm a gang leader, don't they? She's like, no, it's to be expected. People don't change from even when they're children. She's like, excuse me? He's like, it's the same thing that's been happening since I was 10. Actually, before that. They think I'm a monster. They think I'm a bad person because my quirk how makes me look. As he puts more emphasis on looking monster and stuff like that, it's like, well, I'm not. Ain't my fault the bullies, your delinquents, seem to just flock to me. I'll try and steer him the right way at the very least, while you all did nothing. I'll deal with it myself. As he's like, now is that all? As the student council is quite scared, as a couple of students saw him walk in there and they are actually listening. As then they start spreading more rumors around the school saying, oh my god, did you hear? He said he was, like, it's just starting to spread rumors like wildfire now. To the point the teachers are hearing them and like, well, who the hell did we let into our school? As they go into look at the details of who this kid is like, adopted son of Gang Orca. Alright, who was he before this? As one of the teachers do some digging, as then they hold a conference with all the teachers and share what they found. He attacked a couple of kids when he was like very young. He was on the run and he was apparently maybe part of some gangs. And now he's here in their school. So they're all having a freak out about what are they gonna do. We essentially let a villain into their home, into their school, and they're like, well, what do we do now? As they're all freaking out, Gang Orca is like at his agency listening to some of the recent reports. He's like, I have a bad feeling about something. It's probably gonna have to deal with Izuku. I'll deal with it later. As eventually the teachers are like worried about him, as they flinch at this like sight of him every time, and now that actually gets the students riled up saying the teachers know something. What happened with Deku that got him to be so feared that even the teachers are scared to say anything about him? So like girls, like people with Instagram accounts on social media, YouTube, anything like that, they start trying to look for anything that has semblance of Deku. As like so as they're looking up, they're like, they got people that look similar to him, that have quirks similar to him, like Gang Orca, but that's it. So as they're all looking for, they're trying to dig down the rabbit hole. One person in, like, let's say the photography club finally comes across an article explaining weird crocodile-looking kid attacks kids. Unknown suspect still at large. Name unknown. As they're like trying to connect it to Deku, as everyone's just on like a information hunt, as the delinquents even hear about this, and they hear about what he did, or what people think he's done, as now more rumors are being spread about him, that he's this like feral beast, a creature made of rage and hate, tearing through kids and beating anyone near death. They even have stories about how he killed a professional hero and that he got off easy because it was in self-defense or stuff like that. The delinquents are like being terrified even more now that they're going to be even more to submission than him. Or submissive to him, as Deku's just like coming into school and he's noticing everybody's just clearing away from him more and more and more, to the point that he sees hateful glares coming from students. He's like, so it seems it has begun. As then he gets called to student council office again within like 3 months, as he's just like, this is getting annoying. As he like opens the door like more rough than usual. He's like, what? Again, I was eating lunch. So like, we would like you to explain where you came from before this. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, before you were adopted by Gang Orca, as a student council wants to see if they can rein Deku in, since their authority was pretty tight before Deku came. As Deku's just like, you want the beginning or the end? She's like, just give us what happened before Gang Orca adopted you. Alright, I was part of a gang that was used as security for Yakuza members who wanted to make deals. As they stop and they're like, as they're looking at him, Deku's just like, are we done here? As at this point, it's starting to get to Deku a little bit. He's starting to get irritated and angry, so he's acting more... He's more using his emotions now. He tries to let it roll off him as much as he can, but there are points where he has to just say stuff. As like, okay. As the student council hears this, and of course more students were outside the door listening in, they're like running off to go tell everybody. It's just more and more rumors getting slapped on top of Deku, how he was a crime boss from over in America, to how he's like the right-hand man to the strongest Yakuza organization. It is getting so insane. Deku's just like, as Deku, through the grapevine of his delinquents here, that it's secretly told that Deku apparently is the son of a high-level villain, and that villain could fight All Might, and Deku's just like, what are these people thinking? As Deku's just rubbing his head, he's just like, hoping my high school life would be better, but I was wrong on so many levels. So he's walking home one day. He sees the one snake girl following him. He's like... He turns around to her as she shrinks away. She's like, you got something to say? As she comes around, he's like, do you want to be friends or something? She's like, what? Of course not. As he's just like, looks at her. She's like... As she gets unnerved somewhat, he's like... Alright. Well, we're friends now. What's your name? She's like, Habuko Mongoose. As he's just like, sure. She walks over. He's like, give me your phone. She's like, sure. She hands it to him. Since she is like terrified right now, he just types in his number and a little name for him. She's like, let's hope that eases things. As he's like, little croc. He's like, what's your number? She's like, here. As she grabs his and puts it in. She puts it under Habuko Mongoose. He's just like, Mongoose. I like that name. Alright, Mongoose. See you later. She's like, yes. As Deku leaves, he's just like, so, at least I made another friend. As he talks with Asui every now, or Suyu every now and then, and now that he's going to be talking a little bit with Habuko, he's just like, my life is getting messy. As then it comes time for one of the breaks they have a year. As Deku's walking off, he is actually able to have a day with Gang Orca. As Gang Orca talks to Deku about some of the calls he received from the school. And Deku's like, oh no. So like, what rumors did you hear by chance? He's like, well, apparently there's a rumor that you're the son of one of the world's strongest villains. As Deku's just like, I have no idea. My mom abandoned me and I don't know my dad, so next. He's like, you're a gang leader. He's like, The delinquents, for some reason or another, have surrounded me and call me boss now since I stopped a fight once. Like, only once. He's like, well, I guess by now it's 15, since the lot of them can't even agree half the time. He's like, any friends? He's like, two, Habuko, Mongoose, and Suyuwasui. He's like, so, at least you're making friends, right? He's like, yeah. What? I've been up too long. He's like, Deku, you can go to bed after this. He's like, fine. And the other thing is that the students and teachers think of me as some dangerous, unhinged beast, apparently. It's like, well, that ain't true. He's like, yeah, but it's hard to tell them the truth when they have 20 other stories contradicting it. It's like, and they're just stories. He's like, Orca, when was the last time you were out? Alright, when was the last time you were out in a high school in teenage years with your quirk? He's just like, as he's like, oh, you got me there. He's like, yeah, I do. Kids are brutal. These kids are savages, I would damn near say. But they're just kids all the same. Maybe they'll mature in the future. Then again, Deku's like, they're trained. This is what they're told since birth, though. Hero, there's good quirks, good and flashy quirks, like being able to throw ice around or fire like Endeavor's, is what makes a hero. And then they have villainous quirks that they assign to, such as what it makes you look like, what you do with it. Not even what you do with it, just what it does. As Deku rubs his forehead, he's like, I get so tired of it. Don't you? He's like, more than you know, kid. More than you know. So I was thinking, you want to hang out this week? He's like, yeah, I could take a few days off, kid. I could take a few days off, kid. Deku's like, thanks, Gang Orca. Because he's like, it's no problem, kid. As Gang Orca's just like, yeah, man. I think both of us are tired, so I think we should hit the hay. Deku's like, oh, you know it. He's like, also, how are you doing on your schooling and all that? He's like, you get reports, right? He's like, yeah. Just making sure, because I have no idea if you have one of your delinquents hack into the thing. As Deku's just like, har. It's like, alright. As Deku and Gang Orca go to bed the next day, Deku's up bright and early. Now, let's not say bright and early. Since it's not bright, he wakes up like before the sun comes up. As he goes down to after waking up a bit with a cup of coffee, he's just like, man, I love coffee now. As he just like sets the thing back down, he gets in some exercise clothes and just starts working out downstairs in the basement. Hitting the punching bag, running, weightlifting, everything. As Gang Orca wakes up a little bit after him and sees coffee is already made. So he goes downstairs as he's also in a workout gear. He's like, huh, kid. Looks like you're getting up early. He's like, yeah. As Deku's like doing a bench press, lifting it up and down, he's just like, so, what do you want to do today? As Gang Orca starts with a light jog, with some stretches, and then a light jog, he's like, so, I was thinking, well, I got a thing I gotta do today if you wouldn't mind. He's like, what? There's an orphanage nearby that says that their hero was a hero that they had asked to come, had to cancel last minute. So they were asking if I could come. As Deku's just like, you want us both to go? He's like, yeah, I think it would be a good time. As Deku's just like, yeah, sure. Fine, I'll come. As he's running along, he's just like, so, we're not running along. He's like, he's cracking his neck and like cracking his back. He's like, all right, I finished my exercise. As he's stretching, he's like, limber up. Ugh, everything's getting stiff now. As he takes a shower afterwards, he's like, hot water. As he's just like is in a little bit of bath. He's just like, oh, it feels good on my scales. So he has a nice hard brush to get it clean up. He's like, as he gets out of the shower, he's like, all right. As he gets down there, Gang Orca's going to take a shower. When are we leaving? He's like, it's going to be around 12. The kids should be like having a break around 1. It's going to take us like 30 minutes to get there. Deku's like, all right, sir. Like, yeah, you're welcome, kid. As Deku just sits outside watching TV, as Deku's just like, this is nice. Just calm, relaxing TV. As he's watching the nature documentary, actually he's watching the news, as he sees a couple of heroes taking down a couple of villains. As he's just like, huh. As then there's a rerun about where a couple of as it talks about Gang Orca and some of his recent exploits, he's like, well, this is this town's big news outlet, so I guess since he lives here, it would make sense that he has a lot of popularity. As then he and Gang Orca comes down and is like, alright, let's sit around for a bit. As they both are just watching TV, as Gang Orca's like, can I change it, please? It goes like, what? Don't like hearing about your exploits, Gang Orca. As he's just like, exploits. I took down a couple of villains. None of them weren't even moderately powerful. Some of the lower tier heroes could have used that as part of an experience to level up their skills. Deku's like, so why did you handle? He's like, I was there. I was in the moment. I kind of feel bad for those other heroes. They're doing pretty well, and then I just showed up and stole the thunder. He's like, so you don't really care for fame and all that? He's like, not even an ounce. But what I do care about is the children. The children whose lives are ruined because of assholes right there. A guy almost took down like 5 different families. At least the mom and dad's. No kid should go through that. As Deku's like, yeah. Or he's like, heaven forbid one of the children. As Deku's like, oh yeah. He probably would kill the guy. Then he's like, I would come close. Remember, Deku, we're not technically allowed to kill him unless it's absolutely deemed necessary. Even then afterwards, we are highly scrutinized for having to do such an act. He's like, yeah, I know. Makes sense why you didn't kill me. As he's like, yeah, I wanted to let you live because, like I told you before, kid, I see myself in you. It's like, thanks. As they both just sit there in like comfortable silence as they're just watching. Eventually it's like, oh, time to go. As they start walking. As they're walking, as they get out a certain bit, people start noticing Gang Orca, but Gang Orca has a hat on, but there is a few skilled photographers who see him and the person next to him as they are taking pictures of both of them. As Deku's like, you're hiding your face? Like, well, I am pretty noticeable, kid. He's like, I know. As they're just walking to the orphanage, they're getting a couple, like, photographers taking photos. As Deku's like, I think we got paparazzi on us. He's like, yeah, we do. But it's only a few of them. Shouldn't matter. As Deku's like, wasn't my face on the news for a long time? As Gang Orca's like, oh, shoot. He's like, we'll deal with it later. Let's just get to those orphans. As Deku's like, I agree. They're making their way there. Deku, like, they watch the city as Deku's just like, as he can notice, people are like taking glances at him, and they like seem frightened for a second as he walks by. He's just like, well, this is my life. As they make it to the orphanage after a little while of walking, as Deku's just like, well, we're here. As they knock on the door, it's like, oh, you must be the heroes. Deku's like, heroes? He's like, yes, may we come in, please? He's like, yeah, the kids are just waiting to adore you. They're out back. As Deku and them are like, Deku is like, alright. As then he's thrust into the back for the kids, as like, oh my god, heroes. As Deku's like, there's dozens of them. As that's where I'm going to be ending this one off at. Yeah, it's a longer video. Sorry it took me long again. I was gonna make one tomorrow, but still, that would have been a long time. But, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope you guys too enjoy this, and I hope you guys. Sorry, mouth dry. I hope you guys have a nice day, nice night, nice life. Good night.